Yoganali. Hello, my friends. Happy to be here with all of you and talk about path and purpose, the song that came from the dream world to help me find my path and purpose and help me help others find their own path and purpose. And if I don't have a good, strong internet to stay in this recording, I've asked SD Young Wolf, my Salagi brother, to cover for me if I get kicked out. So anytime I disappear, he will speak and
Okay.
tell us about his own path and purpose and finding his gifts. And I guess we'll wait until I disappear since I've been doing that quite a bit and let him be with all of you when I can't. So anytime I'm gone, SD will cover for me and pick up and talk about his path and purpose, and let's just sing together real quick while we can. If
Yay.
Pamela has the words in the chat, let's just go through the song one time and see if we can sing together, and just want to offer my gratitude for the foundation of community that you all bring and the way that it's been so helpful to me to bring my lessons from the hurricane effects that I'm still feeling and getting back into this community. It's been the most healing thing I've done. Just being able to talk about how I survived 2 weeks or more without food, water, and electricity in community really lifted my sadness. I was feeling a deeper level of depression than I had experienced normally in my life. And of course, that's a trauma reaction, and I recognize that. But I was so surprised after I brought those lessons back into this community. And of course, that video is on YouTube to share with everybody, but it lifted that feeling of deep depression and sadness that I was experiencing from the trauma of the hurricane and going through the trauma of that event did have its impact in my life. And I was surprised, you all know that I do a lot of dream work. I do a lot of Jungian depth work, and I was so surprised to be taken to that depth of sadness by this hurricane trauma. And not just the 2 weeks without food, water, and electricity, but seeing all the devastation around me. And I
Yeah.
was careful. I slowly watched those videos. I didn't take too much at one time. I waded carefully into that blood water and all the images and all the horrible things that are still happening. It doesn't just end. It doesn't get over quickly. Just this past week, we had temperatures in the teens, and 3 people froze to death in a tent because they didn't have home, they didn't have shelter. And so things like that are still going on, and they still are visceral in the body. They're felt. They're felt in our community, in our town, in our world today is so vulnerable. We just don't know what's coming and what's going and what we're coming up against or into and I just want to encourage us to develop these communities, come here and sing and dance every time we can to build that foundation of when we need to come and share the difficult lessons and the depressions and the traumas so that we have that community basis to share those feelings and to heal in these deeper ways, in these ancestral ways, of this wave of human where we all have ancestors and we can share so much in those original ways and at those original levels. So singing together is a huge one, you know? I posted this video on Facebook about the healing effects of singing on the brain, and it's Neil deGrasse Tyson, who is an astrophysicist and is very scientific in these things. And it's just a 9-minute video where he's talking about this institute, I guess in the UK, where they study these things, and they have proven that music heals the brain and heals the nervous system and heals Parkinson's disease, gets the Parkinson's advanced stages out of the wheelchairs, off the walkers, and back into movement just using music. So keep that in mind and understand on a deeper level why these songs come to me in the dream world from my ancestors and how they can help us all heal. And let's sing together. Let's sing this song about path and purpose and feel it deeply, and then talk about our experiences of these things that are in the song. So sing with me. Pamela put the words in the chat. I don't know. Can you see them, Stephanie? Can you get the words there? Or does she need to put them in again? I know sometimes we can see them and sometimes we can't.
I can't get to my chat. I don't know why, so I can't see them.
Okay, well, let me email. Can I email them to you?
Yes, please.
Okay,
I'll
I'll do that.
I'll do that, Gail. Or
Oh, great. Thank you, Pamela. You have Yelcha's email address?
I believe so. I believe so.
Yay. Thank you, Pamela. That's much
Thank
safer than me
you.
trying to do anything.
Yeah. I know. Yelcha.
Excuse me.
Jeltje Hevel
Got
at
it.
yahoo.co.uk. Great, thank you. I have the text coming up on my screen, and that is why I can't use the buttons underneath it. Otherwise, I could go to chat, but I don't know how to. Oh, wait, I think I can make this disappear. Oh, look. Yes, sorry, Pamela, you
You
might not
ready?
have to. Yes, you don't have to.
I sent
Sorry.
it.
Okay, we've all got words.
Okay,
Yay. It doesn't matter if we know the song. We're creating
yeah.
frequency and vibration for healing. So we don't care about tunes and the right words and all that. We just care about bringing our unique energies together at this time in this way. So sing with me best you can, however you can. Path is only written in our life's way, journey from our soul into the world. Life is only written in our own way, choices that become unfurled, spiraling as bells ring, balancing to swing,
I haven't got that one.
joining as all souls sing, gliding on a wing. Turn like the water, roll with the sea. Try to become hot sand we grow far from the churning sea, turning into you and me,
Turn
turning back into
into
we.
me.
Far from the churning sea. Just as the tall grass grows away from the churning sea, we grow into
To
who we came here
came
to
here to
be.
be.
We grow. Purpose leads us gently into each day. Journey to our
You
heart
are
and wonder world. This work feeds our
Our
spirit in
spirits in
new
new
ways.
ways. Joy
Joy
comes.
comes unfurled, spiraling as bells ring, balancing to
Balancing to
swing,
swing. Joy
joining as our souls sing, gliding
riding
on a
on the
wing,
wing.
turn like the water,
Roll
roll with the
the sea.
sea, try to become us and we. Beautiful, beautiful. Thank you all so much for joining. And let's talk a little bit about our experience of this, you know? First words that came in, path is only written in our life's way, meaning our path and our life are so unique. They are genuinely our gift to the world at the time we're here. And it's only written in our own way. We bring in our own gift. Can we see it as this? Can we see it as our gift to the world and not so much as things coming into us, people and things coming at us, but as unique, individuated beings coming into this world for a purpose, on a path at this time? We don't even have to know what it is. If we can perceive ourselves and set our awareness at that way, as opposed to the awareness opposite of ego identity that says we have to be like our neighbors or our family or our friends or whatever influences are dominating our lives at the moment. We don't have to be like that. Our soul in awareness says we are here on a path for a purpose. And it feels a lot like sometimes our soul is the only thing that really knows the details of that. And that's okay, because all then we have to do is listen to the guidance from our soul, listen to our body, listen to our dreams, listen to each other, and look and become aware of the synchronicities all around us, because that is what builds that awareness that allows us to spiral as the bells ring. Feel that ringing of the bell, how immediate, how far reaching it is at the same time. You know, we can spiral with that frequency, with that energy of the bells ringing and the sound that it brings into our lives and the healing that it brings to us. And we can balance as we go. And then when life swings us around, we're ready. You know, we can glide on those two wings, those opposite wings. And we can join all the souls around us, soul to soul instead of identity. And look at the water. You know, we're mostly water. Look at it when it churns. Feel that churning of the water when it comes to us in our life, and how it eventually goes to the sea. Okay? And then we can roll with those waves. We can roll with the sea. And this process, again and again and again, knowing that it brings us just what we need, just when we need it, allows us to become us and we, instead of that ego identity of I and me. So we grow when we're away from the churning. When we're churning, we're holding on, we're bobbing, we're floating, or we're just holding on. One of the stories that really has stuck with me from this hurricane flood devastation was a 74-year-old woman who went out in the storm and moved her car and came back in and saw that there was a 20-foot wave about to hit her house, and trees from the sawmill upstream were coming down on that wave. And she grabbed her sister, who looked to be even older than she was, and threw her on the bed. And they grabbed the dog, a little dog in the house with them, and they hung on to a mattress for 5 miles down the river in the flood, in this stream. And then the woman was able to grab a tree, and she saw that her sister was in a whirlpool, and she was able to make her way along that tree to pull her sister out of the whirlpool and
Gosh.
over to where she was, so she could hang on to that same tree that was holding on to the bank in this 20-foot wave that took them 5 miles down the river. And they stayed there all night long. And their children and their family had been told that they were dead because 2 women had washed into that area that had lost their lives, and they couldn't even identify them enough to know for sure who it was. And this woman's son was watching the news and saw the helicopter pick her up. And even though he'd been told that his mother was dead, he was able to say, "That's mom being rescued by a helicopter." And he was right. And that's churning. That's the churning that this song talked about, and brought to me a couple years ago. Where it says, "Churn like the water and then roll with the sea. Try to become us and we." And do everything we can to get through those churning times. And the tall grass grows away from the churning sea, Put our efforts into growing when we're not in these churning times. And then the song says, "Purpose leads us gently into each day." That's how we get through these dark, depressing times, knowing that we are here for our own unique purpose. And it's not somebody else's values of, this is good, this is right, this is wrong. It's our own unique purpose. And this is how we journey to our heart and our inner world and stay connected to our soul and not our ego that identifies with the outside influence so much. And the song says, "This work feeds our spirit in new ways, and our joy comes unfurled." So it's these hard times, these natural disasters, and these, collective events that lead us into the individual choices that are only ours and truly ours to make. and allow us to spiral as those bells ring and balance before we know we're going to swing and join the souls around us just like we're joining each other today in beautiful reality-based community. This is reality-based community. It's not abstractions. It's not ideals. It's not, hierarchy and thoughts and just mental. It's showing up with each other and coming together and laying the foundation for community by singing and dancing together. That's the foundation of community, and that's what this astrophysics thing shows with the Research Institute on music healing the brain and healing the nervous system, the Parkinson's disease-like illnesses that are so rampant these days. That's just an example. That's just the research they're doing in that field. Music was the original healing, the healing process. That's why, our ancestors in this wave of humans took care of each other with food, shelter, music, and dance. That's the four sacred things that they focused on and that we evolved out of. We evolved out of the wild food, the vitamin C of the berries and the fruits that grow naturally when we allow them to, and coming together in community and singing to heal and create the frequencies and dancing together to allow our souls to speak through our bodies. The wisdom of our bodies is just incredible. But we have to learn to listen. We have to learn to act based on what our bodies tell us. And I know all of you know this because you are community and you do show up, and I feel your love and presence, and I heal these traumas experientially with direct experience, and I hope that you can experience the same when we come together in these ways. And I'd love to hear your thoughts. We have so much wisdom in this room. So many of you are, pushing 80 and around 70. And Suzanne, we're glad you're bringing in Switzerland with the younger 50s. But we're all here with our experiences. So I'd love to hear your thoughts on any of this, and then we'll sing some more. So anybody who wants to share, just open up your mic and speak whatever you want to. And maybe I'm going to get to stay. Okay, Stephanie, please. Yeah, share your
What
views.
struck me pretty quickly from what you were saying is talking about reality. And I think the sort of thing that you experienced is very real in the sense that our relationship to the earth is as in the reality as you experienced it and others in that storm. It's a sense of our relationship to things as they are, rather than that ego sense of whatever that ego sense may be, but to have that sense, that felt sense of experiencing something like that, I think is very real, the real. So those are my thoughts.
Thank you, Stephanie. That is so true. I agree. It is very real in the midst of it. It's day-to-day survival, but it's also day-to-day solitude and silence and being with the earth and realizing, hey, look, I'm still alive. So many hundreds around me are not. And the many, many protections are so evident in that barely 10-foot perimeter around my house with huge trees laying on the ground. And the landslide, that ended right below the driveway, and all those huge boulders and water and earth and everything that came just sliding down the mountain. It's very real.
If I might just also share kind of the thing, what I don't, that I sense is that our relationship, each of us all together, our species, at any moment, the earth in all of her expressions, right, can show her relationship to us. We tend to walk on the earth thinking, I don't know what we think, right? But there isn't that sense that might be as you experienced and others experienced. Our presence, not that it doesn't have significance, but in terms of the power of the earth, we have a very humble place in relationship to the earth. And I don't know if that's a general feeling that I have a sense in my culture, but I think that is what is so real as a foundation here. Our direct relationship to the earth and all of her manifestations, direct relationship to us. And as we're starting to become more aware with climate changes, people were even saying in Chicago last week, I wasn't in town, but there were a couple of days, day after day, 2 or 3 days, where the winds were up to 75 miles an hour. I mean, really strong winds. Now, I say that for Chicago, but I also have family in Michigan, but it's all that Great Lakes area. They were saying, yes, the winds were really strong here, but I know in Michigan, not too far from Chicago, they were like sustained 75-mile winds. So, so I don't know if that made my feelings or my sense of that a little bit more clear. It's that actual visceral reality of our relationship, our presence, our beingness in relationship to the earth. Thank you.
Yeah, Stephanie, it's these experiences that help us realize that we are here with the earth. We are part of the earth. We are not in our little heads on the earth, even though that's how we predominantly speak of it. It's not reality based. Anybody else? Yeah, SD, talk to us.
Speaking of the earth and disasters, when I was in Thailand in 2004, I'd been in a monastery. And the day I came out was the day after Christmas, which was when that big tsunami hit, where a lot of people died. And it had been my intention to be in that area. And I don't remember, I got distracted, which is a usual thing, not to be nothing unusual to get distracted, but I wasn't there when it hit, but it hit that day. And there where it hit, where a lot of people, it's not just in Thailand, other countries too, India too, Indonesia. But they're in that area of Thailand where I had intended to be. A lot of European tourists died. And curious thing was that few, if any, animals died because they all left.
Yeah.
They all seemed like they knew what was coming. And in the islands where there were indigenous tribes, the same thing. I don't think any tribal people died because they somehow knew. And I think we have that in ourselves, but we have layers of blockage to have the sensitivity to know these things. It's just like, I think it's been noticed many times when natural disasters of different kinds come, that even dogs and cats will sense it, will know it. And sometimes dogs particularly have been known to get their owners out of the way. I even saw a video of that. And so, anyway, I think it's a very difficult thing for most of us who've grown up in this world where we are conditioned to think and behave in certain ways that we are not in tune with the earth, with the elements. So we don't have that sensitivity, but that it is there. And, I had a brother who told a story of in Canada. I think it was in Manitoba, maybe. The family had a sweat lodge, and there was a tornado coming their way, headed right for them. And the family took hold of the lodge and held hands facing that tornado, and it split in two and went around them on each side.
Yeah.
So I think we have powers that we are not aware of, and that we could touch that if we knew how. There's another story where a boy went to the spirit world, and because he died in a plague, and he asked in the spirit world if he could go back to help his people. So it was granted because of the love that he had, and he was gifted by the spirits with the knowledge of plants, the medicines that could be used to help his people, how to use them. But one thing he would tell people is the efficacy of the healing power of these plants depends not just on the power of the plant, but the way that you live. That they are much more effective when you have the power, the spiritual power of your character, of how how you live in the world.
Mhm.
That will go into the medicine. And so he would teach, that was one of his teachings. It's not just the thing, it's what's behind it and how it's used with the intention and the integrity of your spirit.
Mm. Yeah. Thank you, SD. That is so true. And so aligned with my experience. Every day I start the day with the plants that grow here on the mountain. And I gather them when they've gone to seed and dried their leaves naturally, and keep them and honor them every morning with the fire that releases their spirit and the smoke that connects us to the higher realms. As I see the spiraling of the smoke, I honor the spirit of the plant. I start with the clearing, our native rabbit tobacco, our our gifts from our plains relatives of the sage, the white sage, or whatever sage we have. I clear my energy and just become aware and thank that plant for doing that work, because that's the gift that plant brings to us here on earth. And then I offer the lobelia, which is our native tobacco, and ask it to lend me its power. We know the power that tobacco has over people. And also, it is our interpreter. Its smoke, again, interprets between the spirits when we don't share language. And language is so ineffective and falls so short, with the impermanence of the mind and the limitations of the mental. And then I offer the cedar. I ask the cedar to help me connect with my ancestors who've done their work, and connect with the spirits on this land who've done their work, and connect with the spirit of this sacred mountain that helps many people. I ask it to help many people and to reclaim its sacredness and its name. And then I ask my power animals in the lower realm to continue to protect me as they have, and thank them for that protection, and my helpers in the higher realms, my teachers, for these kind, gentle lessons. And my experience has been difficult at this time, but it's been so kind and gentle compared to a lot in this area. So I really feel my gratitude deeply at this point. And I've done that for years. There's a video of me doing that when I first started doing the dances that we do in community 3 or 4 years ago. I showed how I work with these plant medicines in this way, and then I offer my gratitude to all of these spirits of the plants that are released with the smoke from the fire that purifies and begins and crosses the worlds and is our life force too. And I thank it with the help of the wild rose that grows everywhere. And I encourage anyone, who feels drawn to these plants or the plants of your own native area, your ancestors' native areas, anything that calls to you in a good way. Let your body lead you, let your spirit lead you, let your soul guide you in the dream world. A lot of these plants have come to me in dreams, and I know a lot of you do excellent dream work. So, anybody else want to share experiences or thoughts, anything? Want to sing again and then let SD tell us about finding his path and purpose? So many people think it's in the work that we do, but that's just necessity, I think. And SD's a good example. He's been able to combine the work he does with expression from his soul and his art and music and all that he shares, his teachings. So let's sing one more time and then hear what SD has to say about finding his own path and purpose. Okay? So sing with me, create that frequency and vibration. Mic's on, mic's off, whatever you're comfortable with. Let your soul sing. Joining as our souls sing as this song brought. Path is only written in our life's way. Journey from our soul into the world. Life is only written in our own way. Choices that become unfurled. Spiraling as bells ring. Balancing to swing. Joining as all souls sing, gliding on a wing. Turn like the water, roll with the sea. Try to become us and we grow. Far from the churning sea, turning into you and me, turning back into we, far from the churning sea. Just as the tall grass grows away from the churning sea, we grow into who we came here to be. We grow. Purpose leads us gently into each day. Journey to our heart and inner world. This work feeds our spirit in new ways. Joy comes unfurled. Spiraling as bells ring, balancing to swing. Joining as all souls sing, gliding on a wing. Turn like the water, roll with the sea. Try to become us and we. Thank you all so much. I see and feel the changes in you when we sing together. And it's beautiful. And it goes deeper every time I share these songs. You know, this line, just as the tall grass grows, came with a dream that was for the collective, and it was in a shop, and I was looking at all the stuff in the shop, and then I wandered into this back door, and as I went out through the back door into the alleyway, I saw myself writing on a wall that was in front of the door, this line, just as the tall grass grows away from the churning sea. And then I saw in the distance tall grass growing in the dream world. And that's how these songs roll in, you know, that's how they come through the dream world. So, share your thoughts on the song and the teachings, the healing that music brings to us, or when we're ready, and when SD's ready, he can tell us about his experience of path and purpose. Whatever you guys feel like doing, we're here together. SD, if you're ready, come on in and tell us about your journey.
Okay, I'd like to sing a little song first.
Please, always. Yeah.
Yeah, this song, it came to me, and I'd been attending sweat lodges, sing only traditional songs. So this song kept coming. So I asked this the sweat lodge leader, this song I have, and I'd like to sing it. He said, yes, go ahead. So this is the song. And I just call it a prayer song. Way-yo, 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 way-ya, hey-yo. Way-yo, 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 way-ya, hey-yo. Way-yo, 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 way-hey-yo, way-yo, way-hey-yo, way-yo, 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 way-ya, hey-yo. Way-yo, 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 way-ya, hey-yo. Way-yo, 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 way-ya, hey-yo. Way-yo, 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 way-ya, hey-yo. Way-yo, 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 way-hey-yo, way-yo, way-hey-yo, way-yo, 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 way-ya, hey-yo. Way-yo, 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 way-hey-yo, way-yo, way-hey-yo, way-yo, way-yo, way-ya, hey-yo. Way-yo, 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 way-ya, hey-yo. Way-yo, 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 way-ya, hey-yo. Way-yo, 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 way-hey-yo, way-yo, way-hey-yo, way-yo, 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 way-ya, hey-yo. Way-yo, 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 way-hey-yo, way-yo, way-hey-yo, way-yo, 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 way-ya, hey-yo. Way-yo, 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 way-ya, hey-yo. Way-yo, 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 way-ya, hey-yo. Way-yo, 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 way-hey-yo, way-yo, way-hey-yo, way-yo, 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 way-ya, hey-yo.
Oh, thank you. That's a beautiful song.
So on my journey, I was born and grew up around the Smoky Mountains of East Tennessee, and it was I was told that I was Cherokee from the time that I was a little guy, and so I always took that seriously, even though I was in touch with no kind of traditions at all. And then my spiritual journey at the age of 19, I met and joined the community of Timothy Leary, who had a community in New York State, Woodstock, New York. And that had a great effect on me. We used what you call psychedelic substances as a way of spiritual exploration. And at that time, I met people who introduced me to Eastern teachings that I got very much involved with. And one was a man named Ram Dass. And I became his student, but it seemed like all through my life I had two parallel paths, the native path and the Eastern path. And I met Native Americans, including a medicine man named Rolling Thunder, and I was introduced to the Sweat Lodge ceremony. But I wound up going to India and meeting different, what were called saints and masters. And when I go to these masters, I'd often have dreams where they taught me. And one very powerful dream I had with a saint that I was spending time with was these people sank in the ocean in a boat, and I was asked if I was going to save them. So I kind of took that as a direction to my path, and later on in life, I had the opportunity to first of all get very much immersed in the Cherokee culture when I taught school in Oklahoma, and then later on invited to go to India, and I returned to India as a teacher because I was working with organizations that were working to preserve indigenous culture in India, where there are many tribes and not many people are aware that India has a huge tribal culture, and these tribes have their own culture, but it's being lost. Their traditions and their wisdom, along with their lands and their languages. So I feel like I grew a lot through interacting with these indigenous people, and they welcomed me as their own. Eventually, I was actually adopted into one of these tribes. So, and it put me much in touch with my own indigenous identity. And based on my research, I joined a tribe, and I'm a part of a Cherokee tribe. And I intend to be working with them more and more because the native population of of this country that we live in, this land that we live in, was in many millions upon the coming of the colonizers. And the estimates vary greatly, but into more than 100 million in some estimates. And that through genocide and through the extinction of so many peoples today, I did some research, and the population is 4.3 million in this country of people who identify as being native. It goes up to 7.1 million, and people are mixed blood out of a huge population that is only about 2 to 3% of the population. So when I first met some of these, introduced to yoga and meditation, Eastern spirituality, and they have great saints who are very famous. And I thought, well, why is it that there aren't famous spiritual teachers from Native America? And there are some, but I think the main reason the population was reduced so greatly. You know, there's only a certain percent of a population of people who will become great teachers, artists, scientists, and so forth. And it's because comes down to it, the genocide of those native peoples. So I think to whatever degree I can do so is to learn and teach on and pass on these very important wisdom teachings. So in order to do that, you have to live that. So that's my work. That's my path. And so I think in terms of my purpose in life is that I've generally, through the influence of the different spiritual teachings, traditions that I've studied, that to enlighten our own minds, our own beings, to discover the truth and manifest that in whatever way we can, to help others in whatever way that we can. And for me, my own personal ambition has been to leave something, behind that will help others. As they say in our native tradition, unto 7 generations. So I'm very proud that I have been able to do that to some extent, and I won a book award for a children's book that I wrote that is coming out, and it gives me great pleasure to think that that book might have a positive influence on young lives into the future. And so I look forward to that book coming out very soon. And in my own life, some people have different directions that they may go in life, and my life has never, accumulation of material wealth has never been my goal, and it's never happened. But I think I have had a very rewarding life, and creativity has been my salvation through many difficult times, because through art and writing and music is when I feel really alive. And so in these days I am working with my tribe in whatever way I can to carry on traditions and trying to manifest in all creative ways the truth and love and spirit. That's all. So
Thank you.
for asking me to express this.
Yeah. And I'm looking forward to that book too. I'm looking forward to reading that children's book. We're all children, you know.
Yeah. Yeah, it's not just for children, but that's its form.
Yeah, that's beautiful. And you know, we're all elders here, so would anyone else like to share their journey, their path and purpose in this way at this time? Everybody's welcome. No, no's okay too. I just have to join you in the recognition of creativity being such an important part of life. It's been in my life in the same way, SD, and I wasn't as lucky to embrace it as early as you. I couldn't recognize it and I couldn't make that choice fully, but it has certainly blessed my elder years in recent decades, and music and art and creativity makes all the difference in whatever way it comes, you know, without judgment, without competition or anything from the outside world, just whatever feels creative, whether it's cooking or drawing or writing poetry, music, anything that feeds your spirit, comes from the soul, is creative and life affirming, and just the beauty of being alive. If anybody has anything they want to share at this time, we take a little longer since we were challenged getting started. If anybody wants to, or we can wrap up and sing our gratitude together and go back to our own path and purpose, you know? Path and purpose is definitely something that's always evolving, you know? Life doesn't get boring when we have our insight aligned with our own path and purpose. Anybody want to share your own particular path and purpose reflection before we close out? Everybody's welcome. Yeah, we'd love to hear from Fred too on his path and purpose, another artist who's lived that life. He wants to share with us. You'll have to just open up your mic at any time. And if not, that's okay. We don't hear you yet. So Stephanie, Pamela, Suzanne, anything you guys want to share? Okay. Well, join me in this gratitude song. I am so grateful to all of you for being this beautiful community, for letting this foundation work and singing together, dancing together, sharing together, doing everything we can when we come together to build a community. Reality-based community is so needed in the collective right now. I'm hearing that and seeing that everywhere I look. So thank you all for being that for 3 or 4 years now that we've been doing this, maybe longer. I'm not good at keeping up with time. I don't do time the best, that's for sure. But I do value all of you being together in this way. And I'll say that we're coming together with the Wisdom Council on Monday, almost a week from today. And we're going to talk about honoring Earth and the sun and how they come together at the time of the turning of the solstice. And we're going to dance the spiral dance that I created a few years ago for the solstice turning. So I hope to see all of you and dance with all of you again. And this will also include the rest of our Wisdom Council for Earthstock and Michael DiMartino. We'll have a fire out in California near Sacramento if all goes well with that opportunity. And Uncle Agnangak will share his teachings with us. And SD has a beautiful story of solstice and equinox, one of our traditional stories that he'll tell us. And we'll just see what shows up and share and honor the solstice and the earth. And it's a different link, so check with me if you need the link. It's a different Zoom link, but it's at 3 in the afternoon, 3 Eastern time for 2 or 3 hours, and we'll all have a chance to share at the end of honoring the earth at that time as well. So any questions about that or anything anybody wants to say before we sing our gratitude and close out for today? And thank you all so much for being here in this way. Hey, join me in gratitude. Stephanie, I know you know this song. A lot of you know this song, so please unmute and sing with me in whatever way you're comfortable. And let me grab my gourd so we can rattle together and create a little more frequency, a little variation on our frequency with plant medicines of the gourd, the feminine form of the gourd. So join me in this gratitude song. Ancestors, grandmother, we share compassion on my relation. Grandmother, water is
Is
life.
life.
We are grateful. Kumpashkalami, Inshrimanare. Vijak Yeo, Onshimara. Nilivachoni, Ilamayare. So much love and gratitude to every one of you for coming together in community in these beautiful ways. Until again. Donatoka Ani. We say in Samagi, until again, there will be again. No matter where we are, no matter what, we will see each other again. Wado Pilamia Washte. Thank you all.